Okay, guys, welcome to another Brandable Minute. Today, we're going to be talking about the webinar framework called Effort. Now, Effort is something that I pulled from. This is from September 2017. So we're still going working through our book here, and I was trying to figure out where did I get this from because I didn't think that I actually created this. It's an acronym for excitement, frustrations, formula, objections, reveal, and take action. And so I finally found where I got it from. So this is from the leadpages.com. So it's from the Lead Pages team, and it's from a guy named Bob Jenkins, Bob the Teacher Jenkins. And so this is designed to help you to create stellar webinar presentations in just 6 steps in the effort with the effort formula. So I actually did this. This is when I revamped the purpose of the Bartley Group and really put in place the mission and the vision, which was to become the world's leading strategic framework and design company for kingdom building. This was back in 2017. And I really honed in on what that was by explaining it this way. I'm in the realignment business. And so it was like 3 or 4 categories. One was realigning gift with purpose for meaningful living. 2 was realigning ideas and actions for strategic outcomes. And I put like a question mark there because I wasn't too sure. 3 was realigning visual identity and messaging with business services. So that's for quality branding. And this is why we're doing the Brandable Minute. And then number 4 was then realigning brand with social interaction. So that was making it scalable, making it effective for influence, right? So with these 6 steps, I actually took them and used it for the anti-hero clinic. It wasn't called anti-hero clinic back then, but that's what we're calling it today. And I just want to go through the process, and maybe this would be something that's helpful for you. There's 6 steps. It's called effort. Here's the first one: excitement. So with excitement, you are excited about helping. And this is for me. So I'm using this as the framework, right? The realignment business. So just kind of go through this with me. This is a live example. I'm excited about helping you get unstuck or finally pushing past your self-doubt, self-sabotage by realigning your strengths with your purpose for meaningful living. That's the excitement. So as I'm beginning the webinar, that's what I would be talking about. The next one is the frustrations. Now, this is me working through what would these people that I'm trying to target or connect with be frustrated with. One is you have an idea, but you always have difficulty getting it off the ground. Another is you know what success tastes like, but you can't seem to find that flavor of achievement again. Or you have a business, but it's going stale. Or all of these have one thing in common, which is you are misaligned. You forget why you exist or why your business exists. Okay, so that was the major frustration when I was kind of working through what each webinar and not a curriculum per se, but what each, I guess, teaching or learning session would look like. Here's the next one: formula. This is how you fix the problem. So now I already had the formula in place. Remember, we talked about the anti-hero clinic, the anti-hero's journey. It had 7 steps. So I just implemented that here for this effort webinar. So we fixed the problem in 7 steps. It's the same stuff. I just asked them in questions, but it's the same exact framework, guys. So instead of talking about you were reserved for a purpose, I asked the question, what is your worldview? Right? But because in order to understand or to accept that you have been reserved for a purpose, there has been a higher power, higher calling that has established you for greatness before you even recognized it. That's a worldview. So I just put these into questions. So here's the next one. What are your strengths? What are your talents? You have to recognize what those things are. Step 3, what is the importance of you applying them? So remember, stage 3 in the anti-hero clinic is the anti-hero's journey is rebellion. You're taking the gifts and you're using it for selfish gain, right? You're using it for your own purposes versus serving others. So this is really to ask and to question and to really remind you what the importance of applying those gifts are. And then number 4, when did you hit rock bottom? Stage 4 of the anti-hero's journey. That's always going to be the case for your business. It's not working out, it tanked, maybe even for you, things didn't work out. So you have to go back and figure out the inciting incident. How did that all happen? Question 5, do you want to change and why? So once again, anti-hero's journey, you've got the repentant stage, the wanting to turn. So once we were just talking these through with questions instead of actual statements. Here's number 6. How will you practically make those changes? Repositioning. And then last one, how will you sustain your honor or success? So, 'cause remember, we talked about the difference between success and honor, and that honor is always going to be greater than success. Success is relative depending on the benchmarks, the achievements that you've marked. It's always going to look different for everyone. Okay. So we already went through excitement. We went through frustrations. We went through the formula. And the formula is the crux of the webinar, or it's the crux of the presentation. You want to give the person the solution right away. You don't want to create this idea of, well, wait till the very end, and then I'm going to give you the answer. Now, give them how to solve it right there. That's not the secret. The questions that I asked here, my formula, it's not unique. This is something that other people have done before, but it's just my way of doing it. And that's how the branding piece comes about. You put your own stamp on how you're solving the solutions. Okay, the next one is the objections. Now, remember, this is for a webinar and even for a presentation. So people might anticipate, or you should anticipate people asking questions like this. We're using my example. So I don't need personal development. I just need to make more money. That's an objection. Here's another one. I can't get the same info, or get the same info from Tony Robbins, Michael Hyatt. What makes you so special? Or how about this one? I can do this on my own. I don't need any more information. Thanks. And that's okay. So these are me just coming up with objections that I would need to address in the webinar, so that when you have the Q&A that's at the end, hopefully you're answering a lot of the skepticism and a lot of the resistance to the new information that you're trying to give. Because remember, the whole idea, especially for webinars, especially when you're trying to brand something, you're trying to sell. That's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to sell an idea, a product, or service. So that's the objections piece. Objections is important because if you don't really know the objections, then you probably don't know who your target audience is just yet. The more that you know them, the more that you're going to start understanding their thinking. And how do you know them? You talk to them. You find the people who you're trying to connect with, and you sit down and figure out and understand what are their reservations to not making a buying decision. Okay, here's the next one: the reveal. So the reveal is kind of like this is how we're going to present the solution. So for me, what I did was I put nothing is new about the 7-step process above, but what I do is use design and strategy to navigate through the steps. And when you reach step 6, we help train you to either make an impact or start a business. And I think that was something that was key for them to realize that is what it's going to be. It's going to be one or the other. You are either going to have refined personal development skills so that you can be a better influencer in the sphere that you're in, or you create an entity to do that, where you have other people. As you're managing, you have other people doing that. But it's really, impact is the same. It's just in what capacity you want to do that, as yourself, for other people, or as a separate entity with other people working to do the exact same thing. And it's crazy because as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking, how did this mission even change? I think we should get back to this, to what this really was, because this makes sense. And, I wrote this 3 years ago. So I think that going back, and this is why we talked about going back and looking at the things that you've written down, you more than likely have already solved the problem. And more than likely have worked out a lot of the issues that you may have come across by just getting back into the journal, getting back into the books that you've kind of just worked out a lot of these frameworks. Okay, here's the last one: take action. This is the last one in effort. And so the one that I put here was book a call with me now to go through what I call the anti-hero's journey, which is a more in-depth and customized process for you. And then you'll at least have a clearer focus on where you are now, how to get to where and how to get to where you've been before, and then surpass that. Okay, cool. Right. And that's the takeaway, guys. So that is the effort webinar, that's what it looks like. You get excited about what you're about to do, what you're about to solve, what you're trying to bring to the table. You address the frustrations. Now remember, you're not waiting for them to ask this. You have done the homework. You know the frustrations already. And so what you're doing is you're telling them what they're frustrated in, and you're getting these micro yeses. Alan Weiss, and this is something that I've learned from him with developing proposals, is you want to get the micro yeses by having the conversation before you even send a proposal to somebody. Your proposal is really the seal of approval for what you've already discussed with them. And that's how come conversations before sending a proposal is so important, because your proposal shouldn't be the first time that they're seeing the offers. They shouldn't be the first time them seeing the solutions, so to speak, or seeing the issues that you're trying to solve. You're working through that. So once they get this thing in writing, they're like, yep, we talked about that. Yep. They're called conceptual agreement notes. So you take these notes down. And so when you're in the webinar, you already are discussing what they are already frustrated with. So they're, in a sense, kind of nodding like, yeah, that's exactly who I am. Yep, that's what I'm frustrated with. Okay, and then from the frustrations, you say, well, this is the formula to the frustration. Here's the solution. Then you talk about the objections. There's still going to be a level of skepticism. There's still going to be some reservations as to what you're trying to present to solve their issues. And then you do the reveal. It's like, okay, now this is how we solve it with those particular solutions or questions or whatever it is that we said that you can solve it with. This is how we answer the problem. That's the reveal. It's the product. It's the service. It's the thing that is yours. That's where branding comes in. How do you differentiate your solution from the others? And then you encourage them to take an action. Is that to call? Is that to schedule an appointment? Is that to visit the website? Is that to sign up for something? So I hope that this was helpful, because for a lot of us, and I know I keep saying I'm going to stop saying I hope that this was helpful, because I know that it was valuable. What I do hope is that you take some of it or all of it and apply it for your own, apply it to your own business, apply it to your own product, service, whatever that it is that you're building, because it's a simple thing. And I think that you should also go to Lead Pages. There's no affiliation link or anything here. I'm just letting you know it's leadpages.com. That's where they have more resources, I'm assuming, like this. This is just one that I came across a few years ago, and it still works. It's still valid. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you and your time, and I will see you in the next Brandable Minute.